All right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hope everyone had a great weekend. All right. Finally have some time to talk about these fights over the weekend. ESPN Top Rank had a card. DAZN even had a card. Won't be speaking too much on that card because I didn't see the most of that card. But we had ESPN Top Rank card with Lomachenko, and we also had the Showtime Sports pay-per-view card with Gervonta Tank Davis. All right. So we're gonna talk about all three of those and just review the fights. But first, we're gonna start out with the Erickson Lubin win over Jason Rosario. As more people come in, we'll get to the Lomachenko fight. We'll get to the Gervonta Tank Davis fight, and I got a lot to speak on all of those, especially with Tank and Lomachenko, being that they're around the same division, All right. So welcome everyone that's coming in. Little Noosh, what's up? Now, there's breaking news that Manny Pacquiao is getting sued by his promoter. It just literally came out. So I'm not going to speak on that right now because I don't know enough information yet. And what I don't want to do is mislead you guys. So as soon as I find out a little bit more, I'll jump back on later on, probably in the afternoon, so we can discuss that if more information comes out. If I don't know enough by the end of the day, I will probably speak on that tomorrow, all right, as early as tomorrow. But I'm not going to jump out and speak on it because I don't know enough yet. So once I read some reports, get a little bit more information on that, we'll speak on the Manny Pacquiao Errol Spence situation. Hopefully the fight isn't going to be canceled or anything like that. But let me find out more, and then I'll speak on it later. I know I get a lot of views. A lot of people want to know what's going on. I don't know. Hopefully the fight is canceled. That's all I have to say. But if there is some kind of lawsuit going on, hopefully it doesn't disrupt the actual fight. All right. So let's talk about the fights this weekend. All right. I did see the Julio Cesar Martinez fight on DAZN like later because I didn't cover that fight because I was already covering the Showtime and the ESPN card, which was a lot to cover because the fights actually overlapped each other. As far as the that fight, I wasn't impressed with it. It wasn't a serious fight to me. Martinez really just was coming straight forward with his hands down and just winging wide shots and looked wild. He didn't respect his opponent, and I really didn't think anything of it. I mean, I think he's a very exciting fighter to watch. He has a lot of power and everything like that, but the fight itself was just it was a poor fight. Anytime when a fighter doesn't even respect his opponent enough to display any type of defense, I didn't really care for it. So that's my review of that fight. I didn't care for the fight. I saw it. I watched it all the way up into the stoppage, and I really didn't get anything out of it besides Martinez really not having enough respect for his opponent to even have any kind of defense. I think it was like showboating could be cool at times when you're fighting a higher level opponent and you're schooling them, like the way Lomachenko did with Nicholas Walters. And like in a scenario like that where Walters is undefeated, he's dangerous, he's knocked out guys like Nonito Donaire, and you could go in there and toy with him and make him look like he's nothing. In those scenarios, is very impressive. But what Julio Cesar Martinez was doing, I wasn't impressed with that at all. And I just don't think he's the type of fighter that looks good doing that, just showboating and just coming forward with his guard down. Wasn't impressed. All right. So shout out to everyone that's coming in. Glassjaw, E-Cash, Stormy, B-Man, Richard, Jonathan. What's up? All right. So let's get into the Erickson Lubin fight. Let's talk about this fight here with Jason Rosario. Good win, big win for Erickson Lubin. Stops Jason Rosario attacking the body in the sixth round. Okay. There was a round in there. I don't know if it was the third or the fourth round where Erickson Lubin was badly hurt. Got caught, got clipped with a left hook, and basically paid the price for leaving that lead hand out for too long. He did get hurt, but outside of the time that he got clipped, he was very dominant every round I gave to him, except that one round where he got hurt. Every single round, he got it. You know, he was in control the whole fight. He boxed well. He was able to mix it up with Jason Rosario. We know Rosario is very aggressive. Excuse me. He's a big puncher. You know, he's beaten J-Rock. You know, he was champion, unified champion momentarily. Even though he lost to Charlo and was stopped by Charlo, he gave Charlo a very, very good fight. And you can even argue that he was winning more rounds against Charlo leading up to him getting stopped. All right. So good performance by Erickson Lubin. And to be honest, when I look at Erickson Lubin's record, and I said this on the live commentary the other day, the thing with Lubin is leading up to the Charlo fight, I believe he was rushed. This is 4 years ago now. I know he was a favorite in that fight. He had crazy highlights. He was stopping a lot of guys. He looked great. He looked impressive. He was one of the best prospects leading up to the Charlo fight. He got knocked out one punch in the first round. One of the craziest. He got knocked out. Yo, my phone keeps coming alive. Is a second video that happened at, and I think it's because I had the video on and it just started talking on its own. All right. That's the second time that happened. That's crazy. What was I saying? Charlo fight. Thought it was too soon to go straight to Charlo, and he was stopped in the first round. And one of the knockout of the year, devastating knockout. I mean, guy arm was stiff in the air. It looked crazy. Since that fight, though, he went on to beat Ishe Smith, stopped him early. I mean, Ishe was far past it, but Ishe was never really a guy to get stopped. So it was a good stoppage. He did what he had to do. He went on to beat Nate Gallimore, Terrell Gaucher, which was also another good win. He beat guys that he was supposed to fight before fighting a guy like Charlo. You know, because before, when Charlo was coming up, he fought guys like Gabe Rosado. You know, he fought guys like Vanes Monterosian. You know, he fought guys like John Jackson. He fought guys that you were supposed to fight leading up to a championship fight. Erickson Lubin didn't. He kind of skipped all of that and went straight to Charlo, and he paid for it. So for Erickson Lubin to have 4 years since that knockout loss and to pick up this win against a former unified champion was a very, very good win, you know, and he looked impressive doing it. Like I said, he got clipped. He got caught. Yes, he still makes some mistakes out there and stuff like that, but I think he's a worthy opponent for anyone at 154, and he's proven to me that he's a top 154 fighter, you know, at this point. Some guys moved up, you know, and some guys are a little past it, but he's earned his position to fight Charlo in a rematch now. Do I think he can beat Charlo? I still don't think he can beat Charlo, but I think he has a much better chance in beating Charlo than he did before. Okay, much better chance of beating Charlo this time around than the first time. That's if Charlo is to beat Brian Castano, which I will be doing a prediction. I'm looking really, really forward to doing that prediction because I really, really like that fight. I think people are talking about Charlo already as being an undisputed fighter because of who he beat leading up to this point. I know a lot of people are not familiar with Brian Castano, but he is no joke. Please don't sleep on that fight. That is not a fight that is an easy one for Jermell Charlo at all. So I'm saying it first. Look out for that commentary video breakdown of that fight. That is not an easy fight for Jermell Charlo. Please understand that's not an easy fight. All right. I think Jermell is a favorite to win. He should be a favorite to win that fight, but it's not an easy fight. This is no easier than any of this. It's not easier than Jason Rosario. It's no easier than any other fight that we got from Charlo. All right. I know he lost to Tony Harrison. I think personally, Brian Castano would beat Tony Harrison. I think he would beat Tony Harrison. All right. So we'll get into that. Shout out to everyone that's coming in. We're gonna get to Lomachenko. We're gonna get to Tank Davis. Give me a moment. I want to get through 154 real quick, and then we can move on from there. All right. But good win for Lubin. Like I said, boxed well. He went to the body, and we need more fighters to do it. I was saying that, and the Lomachenko didn't go to the body that much because I felt like Nakatani was definitely guarding the body well, and he was he was doing a good job staying out of range, and he would do a lot of holding when Lomachenko came in. So Lomachenko didn't really go to the body like that as much as I thought he would, but he still got the knockout win. We'll speak on that in a minute. Tank was able to drop Barrios with a body shot late in that fight. You know what I'm saying? So I love when fighters go to the body, man, and we need more fighters to really go to the body. Even there was a moment late in that fight with the Barrios fight where he was going to Tank's body. I thought he was doing it a little too late, but more fighters need to go to the body. Can't keep head hunting. You got to mix it up. And that's what we got from Lubin, and that's what stopped him. Yes, he was outboxing Rosario. Yes, he hurt him earlier in the fight up top. But Lubin, it took the body shots to put Rosario away, and he was working. I believe that was probably part of the game plan. He was probably working towards that. I'm surprised he didn't do it a little earlier, but it happened. Rosario loses again by knockout from a body shot, just like the Jamel Charlo fight. All right. So I think that's all I really need to say. I think Lubin now is the mandatory for the WBC title, all right, which Jamel is currently holding. Castaño is a WBO champion, all right, and Jamel has the WBC, the WBA, and the IBF, and I believe he's a Ring magazine as well. All right, so yeah, all right. So anyway, and to speak on 154, and this is my last point. Whoever wins this fight at 154, whether it's Jamel Charlo, whether it's Brian Castaño, I hope the winner stays at 154. And I hope the winner actually defends the title. Because as much as us fans want undisputed, when we have them, all right, Josh Taylor, I think Usyk had one title defense before moving up to heavy. He had one against Tony Bellew, which was cool. Great fight. Terrence Crawford, moved up. Josh Taylor, most likely going to move up. We don't know, but he could. I would love to see a fighter defend the title. Jamel, if he is to win, if he goes up to 160, being that he's a PBC fighter, what are the options? What are the options for Jamal? We're not getting them. So most likely we're gonna have the same. What are the options if Jamel were to win and move up to 160? What is he gonna do? Is he gonna fight? Who is he gonna fight? He's not gonna fight his brother. What options are there? It's not too many. PBC does not run 160. So I would prefer the winner stay at 154 and defend those titles, because you got guys like Lubin. You still got J-Rock there. You still got Lara there. You still got other fights that could be made. There was a lot of fights that did happen. Yeah, with her, Lara, and Castaño, Lara, and J-Rock, and Jamal. And there was a lot of fights that happened, but there's still other fights that still could happen at 154 that we haven't gotten yet. All right? All right, so let's go on to Lomachenko. Let's talk about Vasyl Lomachenko picking up the big stoppage win. Which round was it? Let me look it up real quick. Which round? He stops him in the 9th round. And mind you, a very dominant win. Two of the judges gave only one round to Nakatani, and that's the way I saw it. I gave one round to Nakatani while I was doing a live commentary. Now, when I say that I gave him one round, it was a competitive fight. They were close rounds. Lomachenko stole a lot of those rounds. There was rounds in there where Nakatani was winning. He was up, and Lomachenko stole it with 2 or 3 hard straight left hands. All right. There were rounds like that. So I personally gave Nakatani 1 round. All right. It doesn't mean it was competitive. But the problem with this fight, not really Loma. I really didn't have any issues with Loma. Nakatani, as much as we enjoyed him against Teofimo Lopez, against Felix Verdejo, Nakatani didn't show up. And when I mean that, I don't want to take away from Lomachenko's win. I'm not doing that at all. What I mean by that is that every time the fight got a little rough, he held. He held for dear life. This guy was holding and clinching all night long. Made it a very ugly fight. Not the fight I expected to see. You know, Nakatani is proving that he was pretty durable leading up to this fight, right? Gave us a couple good fights, good performances. We didn't get that here. He could not deal with Lomachenko. He fought like a scared fighter, you know. Plus, we got the clash of heads. We was getting a few. Lomachenko got cut up top early, but I expected more from Nakatani. I expected much more from him based on his other two performances. I expected him more. Expected more because I felt with those performances, he was a top dude at 135. You know, and he still might be. Lomachenko dealt with him and made it look easy. And that's how you force a rematch with the guy that beat you. That's how you do it. You know, all right, you get your surgery done, you come back, and you beat the hell out of the guy that same opponent that you're trying to rematch. You beat the hell out of the opponent that gave that fighter a tough fight. Because Nakatani made Teofimo Lopez look bad. And Lomachenko made it look easy. And let me tell you something. Lomachenko was fighting like he was trying to get the knockout. He wasn't trying to outscore. Lomachenko, what did I say in the breakdown of this fight? I said Loma has to come in right away. Maybe give him 1 round tops. Maybe lose, to feel him out. Maybe give him 1 round. No more than that. What did I say also? Lomachenko, make this guy fight going backwards. Make this guy fight. Make him fight. You know, he likes to fight. He likes to trade. All right, you know what? Give him a little taste of his medicine. You know, his own medicine. Force him to go backward. Don't let him come forward, you know, unless you're trying to set a trap. But you got to make him fight. Push him backwards. All right, we saw what you did in your last fight, but now you're in my world. And that's exactly what Lomachenko did. You know, and every time he every time he punched and landed, Nakatani's head snapped all the way back all night long. He didn't even have to go to the body like that. He didn't even have to do it. So I think that I personally like the performance. It was a good performance against a really good fighter at 135. It was a good win. These guys are talking rematch with Teofimo Lopez, and that's cool. I'm cool with that. You know, a lot of people don't feel like Lomachenko lost the fight or thought it was a draw or anything. You already heard it from me. I think Lomachenko gave way too many rounds away. You know, I think at the very most, I scored it 77-5. And that's being generous for Teofimo Lopez. But I had it scored 8-4. All right, for Teofimo Lopez. I gave him the first 7, and I gave him the last round. And those 8, 9, 10th, and 11 rounds I gave to Lomachenko. I think one of the earlier rounds, I don't know if it's the first or second round, I think one of those were the swing round for me. But Lomachenko didn't do enough. So that's a good look when you're going to the rematch. And in fact, I still think the rematch is a 50-50 fight. You know, I still think the rematch is a 50-50 fight. So I can't wait to see these guys fight in a rematch. Yes, I do want other fights. I would have loved to see Lomachenko fight a guy like Tank Davis. I'll get to that. I would have loved to see him fight Devin Haney. There's other fights out there. All right. But the rematch between Loma and Tio, not mad at it at all. As far as Nakatani's concerned, again, not an impressive fight, not a good look for him, but there are so many options still out there. There are still so many options out there. You got Fortuna out there. You have who else you have out there? You have Fortuna. You still have Luke Campbell. I don't know what Luke Campbell's doing. I don't know if he's gonna still keep boxing. I don't know. But you still have a lot of guys at 135 that are still around, that are still relevant, that he could face. All right. Let me read a little bit of the comments before I move forward. Eliza said, I expect the old Loma versus TO2. It might be a 50-50 fight. I don't want to say the old Loma. I don't want to say that because, to be honest, I think there was only one other fight where Loma held his punches, and that was against Salido. Ever since the Salido fight, I thought Loma has opened up, and been aggressive, So I think I can't say the old Loma, you know what I'm saying? At least, well, that's what you're saying, but I don't think I could agree with that. You know what I'm saying? I think Loma has been putting in work since then. And I think the only other fight where he didn't really throw is against Teofimo Lopez. And I think it has to do with him being he was just too cautious. So he's going to have to find a way to put pressure on Tio while still being very, very careful, And I think they're going to review the fight. And I think I personally think that the fight could go like this. I think Loma could put more pressure on Tio, win some earlier rounds, and win a decision, or possibly stop him. Who knows? I don't know. Yeah, definitely. Smash that like button for everyone that's here. Smash that like button. But yeah, I think Loma can definitely start off faster, pick up some rounds early. All right. One thing with that, though, he can burn himself out. This is why he had great conditioning, great stamina in the later rounds, because he didn't do much in the earlier rounds. All right. Now, this time around, what if he burns himself out early and then the younger fighter, Teofimo Lopez, start picking up rounds later? Now they both have some sort of experience in fighting each other. So who will be better? I have no idea. We have no idea. I don't know. We'll see the night of. All right. But I can't say that Loma's really getting any better at this point. He's closing in on his mid-30s, and I'm not saying he's old and he's done. He's clearly not, based on his performance the other night. But what I'm saying is Tio is probably not even in his prime yet. There's no way to really predict it. We just got to wait and see what he does years from now. But Teofimo Lopez is probably not even in his prime yet, because he's still young. He's 23 years old. All right. So the thing is, Loma could pressure early and pick up rounds early, but he can also still be in danger from getting clipped with something that might hurt, because Teofimo Lopez, at the end of the day, he packs a lot of power, So that's what I'm saying when it comes to that. So yeah. I can't wait for the rematch, and it seems like we're probably going to get it. All right, but we got to get the Teofimo Lopez George Kambosos fight first, which was already rescheduled, and it's a shame because it's just putting more time. We would have had that fight already, so we could have had Lomachenko fight as early as the fall. But now we're pretty much getting the Kambosos fight. So if we are going to get a Lomachenko rematch, excuse me, it'll probably be all the way at the end of the year. That's if Teofimo wins his next fight, which I'm expecting him to. All right, we just got to wait and see. All right. All right. Let's get on the Tank. Let's move on to Tank. We got a lot to unpack here. All right, and this is why I wanted to speak on him last. We have a lot to discuss here because we had the fight, but a lot of things were said after the fight from Floyd Mayweather. All right. The fight. Going into the fight, I like the fight. I told you guys, I like the fight. All right. Was it a fight that I was asking for? No, it wasn't. It wasn't. Was I asking for Tank to move up to 140? No. What I was asking for Tank to do is fight one of the best fighters at 130 or 135. There are fights that I haven't seen that I wanted. I wanted him to fight Tevin Farmer at 130. Okay. I want him to fight Lomachenko at 135. All right. When he beat Pedraza, that was the very first fight that I was asking for. And that was years back. Right? How long ago was that fight? That was the Pedraza fight was back in, let me just pull up Tank's resume real quick. That was back in 2017 in January. So it's over 4 years ago now. 4.5 years ago, we got that fight. And at that moment, I wanted the Lomachenko fight. Most of us wanted. That's when the conversation really began. People were talking about it before that. But when he beat Pedraza, it really began there. And it kept going, especially because Loma went eventually and fought Pedraza. All right. And I want to say he struggled a little bit. I just wouldn't say he outperformed Tank in their common opponent. So the conversations kept going. Then there's other people that came along. You had Devin Haney that came along. You had Ryan Garcia that came along. You had Teofimo Lopez that came along. You had all these fighters that came along. Shakur Stevenson now is at 130. I mean, people are not talking about the fight like that. I know they're cool. But that's another fight that I know I've talked about it on this channel. I know I talked about that fight. So, I mean, when I think about Tank Davis and fighting Mario Barrios, what I like, I see Barrios fight. I respect him as a fighter. I think he's a talented fighter. And plus, it's the size. This whole 140 thing, going to 140. I don't care about that WBA belt. We already know. I already explained that. The WBA belt, don't care for it at 140. Don't care for it at 135. All right. It's a baby. It's a junior belt. It's a junior WBA belt. Josh Taylor holds the real title. All right. At 140. At 135, Teofimo Lopez holds the real title. This is the problem I have with Mario Barrios. He's just unproven. Even at 140. He's unproven. If you've been watching 140, if you've been here, and I've been covering this fight or this division, 140 is probably have been one of my favorite divisions since Terrence Crawford moved up. It's been one of the best divisions. Action-packed. All the best fighters been fighting the best. From Zepeda to Ramirez, Baranchek, Josh Taylor, Regis Prograis. All these guys, Victor Postal, Amir Imam. All of these guys at some point fought each other. It's been like a tournament at 140. Mario Barrios he hasn't been in the ring with any of these guys. At 140, he's unproven. At 140, he's unproven. So the win against Akhmedov was cool. That's a good win. The win against Ryan Carl, those are cool fights. But those guys are unproven. They weren't there. They weren't there. So please, when people criticize Tank, don't call them haters. All they're saying is they want to see Tank fight the best. That's it. If you're going to go to 140, you are testing yourself because you're fighting a bigger guy that's proven to box well. Based on the eye test, Barrios is good. But based on his resume, He's unproven. He's unproven. All those guys I just named, they've been to wars with each other. Like 154. A lot of these guys been to war. A lot of these guys at 154 is no different from when this guy, Munguia. It's no different from 154 when Munguia was there and he was champion. Munguia won the title against a guy from welterweight who won the title from a guy that was getting ready to retire. But at 154, he wasn't in a mix with the killers. He wasn't fighting Lara. He wasn't fighting Jamel or Jamal Charlo. He wasn't fighting J-Rock, Austin Trout, Canelo, all these guys that was in 154 for years, running the sport, winning titles, losing. You know, he wasn't in there with the killers, Erickson Lubin. He wasn't in there with none of those guys. The best fighter he fought at 154 was Liam Smith. That's the only guy that was even worth mentioning at 154. That was somewhat proven at 154. Somewhat. But he still wasn't even at the elite neither. So this is the same scenario here where Mario Barrios, cool. He's undefeated. He's fresh. He's a good boxer, right? Has some pop, right? But let's not act like it's not all business. Please, let's not pretend like it's not all business. It's all business here. He's PBC. He's Floyd Mayweather Promotion, whatever he is. And that's why he got his opportunity. It wasn't based on him being the best. Josh Taylor, the guy that Leonard Ellerbe said that he needs to bring something to the dance, the undisputed fighter, he can bring something. He brings something. Now, does he pack the seats in America like the way Tank Davis does? Absolutely not. He does not. That Atlanta crowd out there the other night was crazy. We saw the crowd. Tank does bring a crowd. People are going to pay to watch him fight. Even people were asking me about it. Yo, you watching a fight tonight? Ain't this dude fighting tonight? I've heard it all week. All right? So people are aware of who Tank is. But let's not act like it's not business. No one was asking for a Mario Barrios fight. Was this a solid fight? Yeah, I actually liked it going into the fight a little bit more than the Santa Cruz fight. Why? Because Santa Cruz, again, as much as he's accomplished, 4 division title holder, right? Legit titles. He was unproven at 130. Tank was already proven at 130. He already fought at 135. So I wasn't that hyped for the Leo Santa Cruz fight because I know what Leo accomplished, but I know what Tank is capable of at 130. I already know that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why in that fight, I wasn't that hyped. It was a good fight. It was a great fight for the amount of time that it lasted. But what did I say? Well, Tank is going to knock him out at some point. Even though Leo has never been knocked out and Leo has always been durable, Tank will knock him out. Where in the Barrios fight, I was like, I think Tank is going to win, but I don't know how he's going to win. Maybe late stoppage, maybe by points, but it was a tougher fight. It was. Let's get into the fight, and we got a lot more to talk about. Please smash that like button if you're just joining us. Smash that like button. Let's talk about the fight. Barrios boxed well and was winning rounds. I was listening to the commentary. I was watching a little bit again this morning. I think the commentary was giving Barrios a little bit too many rounds. You know, I even heard them say like Barrios won the first 4 or 5 rounds, maybe even. I didn't agree with them with that. Okay. I thought the first round was a filling out round, not much going there. Even the second, it wasn't until the third. This is the thing, though. When the third round came, I realized that Barrios had already started to fight on his back foot. By the third round, midway through that round, Tank was already comfortable with coming forward. Tank was already closing the gap with Barrios. Barrios should have never given, and I'm not saying it could have been forced, but if it wasn't forced and Barrios made a decision to start coming back, that's what changed things. The pressure, it was too much for him. And this is what I mean by being unproven. Because now he's forced. We saw him in the Akhmadov fight where he was getting pressured after the 5th round. We saw that. I saw that. Why you think I picked Tank? Because I saw what happens when an aggressive southpaw fighter comes to pressure you. And Akhmadov is not Tank. I know he's bigger, but he's not Tank. You know? Tank has power. He's proven it. Maybe would it carry up at 140? Well, it did the other night. Would it carry up to 140 against the super elite? That, I don't know. But when Tank did, once he started putting the pressure on Barrios, I knew it was going to be a matter of time. I thought it was too soon. When Tank started walking him down, it was too soon. It was way too soon. It was way too soon. You know, Barrios was still making moves with his jab, all right, setting up his jab at times. He definitely timed and caught Tank a few times coming in. He did go to the body, especially later in those later rounds when he was actually hurt and he was actually like, because as the fight continued, the fight started to break out and it started to become a point where they were trading. It was a good ass fight. Listen, say what you want. That was a good ass fight. That was definitely the fight of the weekend to me. Okay. That was a good fight because Barrios was winning rounds because of the shots that were landing. But every time Tank landed, you saw it had more of an effect. Tank was never bothered by Barrios's power. He never was. He never was. And Barrios landed more than jabs. He landed some good shots in there. All right. Tank went on to drop him in the 8th. The first knockdown, I can't remember. I think it was a right hand that dropped him. It looked like Barrios, I think he threw a jab, and I think Tank drew a right hand over that jab, and Barrios kind of fell over to the side. Like I thought maybe it was possible he tripped over his feet, but then when I watched the replay, it was a clean shot, right? But it was that second shot, I think it was the left hand that really hurt Barrios, and Barrios was almost stopped in the 8th round, but he survived. And I think Tank punched himself out a little bit. Then in the 9th round, Tank, Barrios both kind of took the round off. From the 10th, the 10th and 11th round were great. All action. Like no dull moment in those 2 rounds. A lot of good action. Even though Barrios was stopped in the 11th, he got off. He just couldn't hurt Tank. He couldn't hurt him, you know? And Tank was, I think he hurt him first with the left to the body. The shot, the uppercut to the body, I believe, is the one that hurt him and dropped him. And then when he got back up, Tank finished him off, landing a big shot up top. I think it was a left hand up top. And Barrios, they stopped the fight after that. What I will say, though, Tank and his defense. A lot of people talk about his defense. You know, I was listening to some of the commentary. I think sometimes with the commentary, I like Showtime's commentary. You know, overall, like I like Showtime's commentary and their production. You know, but sometimes I think they just say certain things that I don't know. I don't really think they look. I'm trying to say it without being like, I don't want to act like I'm like some kind of know-it-all and stuff because people might disagree with me. But I think that Tank a lot, like when it comes to his defense, I think when he's walking forward that way and he's getting hit a lot, I really believe that it's because he doesn't respect his opponent's power and he's just trying to pressure. And I think any fighter, even guys like Floyd, who let's say like in the Conor McGregor fight, and I know this is Conor McGregor. Floyd was getting hit a lot more in that fight because he was coming forward and he was putting pressure and he's trying to stop his opponent. So I think he's more likely to get hit coming forward. When Tank was on his back foot, they say that he doesn't fight well on his back foot. I don't necessarily think that's true. I think if Tank was really in there with an opponent where he had to be cautious, like if he fought Regis Prograis, and I'm going to speak more on him later in this video. I think if he were to fight a guy, a legit proven fighter that boxes well and punches hard, he would fight a different fight. He can't come forward the way he did against Leo, the way he did against Pedraza, the way he did against Mario Barrios. He cannot fight that way against everybody because there's a different level of caution there. Once he felt Barrios's power, I don't think he really cared. So I think just saying like he doesn't have good defense or he doesn't know how to fight going backwards, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. I think when the moments that we do see him going backwards is usually because he's trying to set a trap. He's trying to set a trap. And then at some point in the fight, which is almost every fight, he's going to come forward. And at that point, when he comes forward, you can't stop him. Now, you might hit him more, and he may miss more, especially in this fight. He missed a lot because he's fighting a taller fighter. He has to work harder to get on the inside, where Barrios can keep him outside the entire time. That's a fight that he would want. But if he were to fight a top dog, like a Josh Taylor, like a Regis Prograis, he would have to fight a different fight. Do you think if Tank fought Jose Ramirez, do you think that Tank would fight the same way he fought against Mario Barrios? Now, if he's able to hurt Ramirez at some point, yes, I think Tank will walk forward and try to stop him. I'm not totally dismisses his chances of winning a fight against Ramirez. I'm not doing that right now. What I'm saying is, based on Ramirez's style, Tank would be forced to fight on his back foot because he's fighting a guy that does nothing but come forward against the very best at 140. You get what I'm saying? Against a guy that did it against Victor Posto, a guy that did it against Josh Taylor. You get what I'm saying? So I think, like with the commentary, I think they say things, and the only reason why I'm addressing them is because I think people hear what the commentary say and then they repeat it in the comments. I see a lot of people leave comments saying that Tank can't do this, Tank can't do that. Well, how do we know if he's fighting guys where he's comfortable with taking hits from them? All right. Good performance, good win, and a very good fight. It was one of the better fights of the year, to be honest. I was highly entertained. All right, by this fight. This was a good fight. Again, not a fight that I asked for, but it was a good fight. Now, let's talk, because we have a lot to talk about. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Please smash that like button. All right. And if you guys are new here, hit that subscribe button. What's the future of Tank Davis? I think we have a lot more clarity on what is the future from Tank at this point, based on the comments from Floyd Mayweather. Let's stop entertaining a Lomachenko fight. That's not going to happen. Let's stop entertaining Ryan Garcia fight. It's not going to happen. Let's stop entertaining a Teofimo Lopez fight. It's just not going to happen. No. Those guys at 130, it's not going to happen. If he fights somebody at 135, 140, or even if he does go back down to 130, which I doubt, he's not fighting these guys that we always wanted to see him face. At the end of the day, he's only going to be fighting a Mayweather Promotions fighter. He's only going to fight a PBC fighter. Floyd said it himself. We're keeping everything in-house. Now, that made a lot of people upset. Kind of made me upset. But I'm glad that I heard it. Because now, all those tweets was all cap. It was all cap. The back and forth between him and Ryan, it's all cap. Tank is not fighting anyone outside of PBC. Ryan is not even fighting right now. It was all cap. But now that I know, at least I'm aware now. Let's stop doing all these other talks. We're not getting those fights. Tank is going to fight who he wants or who his team want him to fight. It's been confirmed. That's not hating for you huge Tank fans, for you huge PBC fans, because we got fans of networks. There's PBC fans, there's DAZN fans, there's ESPN fans. Tank is keeping it in-house officially. So all the other talk is done. I don't like it, but from a business standpoint, and these guys are all about business, Floyd Mayweather, Leonard Ellaby, they don't care about Undisputed. They don't care about real titles. They are fighting who they want to fight. You know why? Because this guy can literally fight someone that nobody knows of, and they can pack an arena in Atlanta coming off of a pandemic. They can still pack a full arena in Atlanta without having to fight anybody. No disrespect to Mario Barrios, but nobody knows who he is. Some real hardcore fans might know, but he's no top dog at 140. And he doesn't have a name. His name came off of him fighting Tank Davis. And people are going to respect him now because they saw what he can do. You know? So Tank is not going to be fighting Josh Taylor. He's not going to be fighting Josh Taylor. Because according to Leonard Ellaby, he doesn't bring anything to the dance, even though he's undisputed. Undisputed is nothing to guys that's all about their business. Now, let's bring up a few names that I think are possible potential opponents. Maybe not next, but in the future. Guys, I expect Tank to fight next or maybe down the line. At 140, Regis Prograis, first name. First name that came up. Why? Because Prograis is a PBC fighter. Now, okay, he's with the PBC. These guys have been going back and forth. A much better fight than Mario Barrios. Now, this is the kicker. Will these guys put Regis Prograis in there with Tank Davis? Would they do that? This guy's already proven that he could fill all the seats in the world, right? Are they going to put Regis Prograis in a ring with that guy? I don't think so. Too high of a risk, too low of a reward. You probably, I'm thinking like them right now, right? I'm not thinking like a boxing fan. I'm not talking like a boxing fan. I'm talking about the Leonard Ellabys of the world. They're going to make the same kind of money of fighting guys like Mario Barrios, right? Now, the hardcore fans love the Regis Prograis fight. We're a small population. Those guys that packed that arena was there to see Tank, no matter who he faced. This is not hate. This is just common sense. Please leave your emotions out of this. Because I'm talking about the people that's here in this room. I'm talking about the comments that I've been reading since the fight. Leave your emotions out of it. These guys are not going to put Regis Prograis in there. If they do, salute. If they put Regis Prograis in there with Tank, that's the win that would catapult Tank and secure a pound for pound. Like, people keep talking about pound for pound. I don't really care. If you think he's pound for pound, that's on you. If you don't, that's on you. I don't care. Prograis win would make that win legit, because Prograis is a proven fighter at 140. All right. And he's a dangerous fighter, period. He's a dangerous fighter. Unlike Mario Barrios. This is not the same as levels. Prograis would have smashed Mario Barrios. There would have been no prediction. I mean, there would have been no breakdown. I don't need to do a breakdown of that fight. Prograis fighting Mario Barrios. If I found out that fight was announced a few months from now, Prograis is going to smash him. All right. So yeah. So listen, I say Prograis. If Mikey Garcia feels like coming back down to 140, which is where I think he belongs, that's a fight. Everybody's coming out to that. Mikey Garcia already has his own fan base, and he could fill an arena himself. Tank could fill out an arena. You get that Mexican crowd, you get that black crowd. Oh, we gonna have a fight. That's money right there. And Mikey is a type of fighter. He could bounce around. He could fight wherever. He could fight PBC today. He could fight the Zone tomorrow. He won't get with Top Rank, but he can bounce around. He could do whatever he wants. So that is a very, very possible fight. I think that's a fight that will happen at some point, hopefully. But they're going to make it work when they can make the most money from it. All right. And that's a fight I love. I would love to see that fight. That's on a different level from anybody that Tank has fought up to this point. Mikey Garcia. Yeah, Spence beat him, but Spence beat him at 147. Mike lost a guy at 147. He didn't lose before that. And he fought good fighters. All right. At 140, other possible fights. Easter Jr., he recently went up to 140. Hasn't really looked impressive lately. I think his best days was when he was having close fights with Javier Fortuna and Richard Comey at 135. I think that was the highlight of his career up to this point. Knocking out Mendez. But we just haven't seen anything. He had that terrible, terrible fight with Ramses Barthélemy a couple years back, which was like the worst fight of the year. And we just haven't seen much for him. But he is a PBC fighter, right? And I can see that fight happening. He's no less famous than Mario Barrios. He's probably a little bit more well-known than Mario Barrios. All right, so I can see that fighting happening. I can see the Ramses Barthélemy fight happening. He's a PBC fighter too. We sticking with PBC right now because we're not going to hype up fights that we just don't. It's not going to happen. All right, so I can see the Barthélemy fight. I can see the Easter Jr. fight because at the end of the day, Tank is going to get people to come out and show out regardless of who he faces. It's proven now. These guys have said it. Do I want him to fight Lomachenko? Absolutely. But it's not possible. Because even if Loma said, I'm a beat Teofimo Lopez. Let's say Loma beats Teofimo Lopez, and he go on and say, you know what? I want to fight Tank next. I'll take the pay cut. I'm going to come in with my 4 titles, and I'm going to fight you, and you only have to pay me $500,000. Even if you were to do that, it wouldn't happen. Top Rank, ESPN, nah, we're trying to make money. I know you care about legacy. That's what you're saying, but this is a business at the end of the day. It won't happen. It will never happen. It will never happen at this point. He's not going to fight Lomachenko. It's not going to happen. It's unfortunate, but it's not going to happen. And I'm tired of putting the energy into making fights that's not going to happen. Now, 135 is tricky. It's not much there for the PBC. But Devin Haney may be a free agent soon. So if Devin Haney doesn't stay with the Zone and Matchroom and Eddie Hearn, and he decides to go to the PBC, I can see the fight happening. You know, I can see a fight happening. I mean, I think that's a fight that if Haney's with Floyd, because they already have a relationship, Floyd would probably only risk Tank losing to somebody that is his own fighter, especially somebody he's close to, like Haney. So I can see that fight happening if Haney decides to leave Matchroom. All right. Javier Fortuna, he's also PBC. You know, now I know Ryan was supposed to fight him, you know, and that's the thing with this business stuff. It's so funny because Fortuna's PBC, but when it was time to fight Ryan Garcia, it was no issues with making that fight. See how business works? It's like funny. Like they're willing to let people go and leave the home team if the fight is worthy. They're willing to do it. That's what sucks about this whole thing is that they're willing to let their own fighters go off, but it has to be worth it to them. It has to be worth it. You know, low risk, high reward. Low risk, high reward. You know, it's messed up, but it is what it is. It is what it is, man. And, you know, I say this because, listen, I ain't no PBC hater. I always tell you, what did I always say? Top Rank was the first PBC. We're not going to forget that. There was a point when I wanted Keith Thurman to fight Manny Pacquiao and Tim Bradley and Marquez. There was a point where I wanted Sean Porter and Danny Garcia. The videos are still up, by the way. I was talking about this years ago, 2013, 2014. Danny Garcia, Manny Pacquiao, Keith Thurman, Marquez, Tim Bradley, Sean Porter. But those guys were the top dudes on Top Rank. And Top Rank just said, you know what? We don't have a large stable, but we're going to have these rematches. We're going to have Bradley, Pacquiao over and over again. We're going to have Manny and Marquez over and over again before we let these guys go off and fight these PBC guys or these Al Heyman fighters. We're going to keep these fights on Showtime. We're going to give Jesse Vargas an opportunity first. So you guys got to understand, when it comes to business and networks, every network is going to let their fighters fight first. The problem I have with the PBC is that when there's no fighters left, like Jamal Charlo at 160, what do? You can't just keep putting them in there with like guys that we don't want to see him fight. We want to see Jamal Charlo fight Demetrius Andrade. We want to see him fight Jaime Munguia, Chris Eubank Jr. We want to see him fight Triple G. We want to see him fight Canelo. We want to see him fight all these guys that's not part of the PBC. You know, some of them he wants, you know, but, you know, we hear people turn down certain contracts, yada, yada, yada. I'm not going to get into that. The video is not about that. At 130, and I don't think Tank will be making 130 anytime soon. He just went up to 140 and knocked out a good fighter at 140. I don't see him going back to 130 under no circumstances. And plus, there's no big enough name down there for him to do it. But Chris Colbert is a PBC fighter, and Chris Colbert was actually the regular champion, I believe. He might have been a regular. He not the regular champion, but I think he was ranked number 1 for the WBA title that Tank had. You know, Gary Russell Jr. I keep seeing you guys put his name up. I was gonna bring him up. I think that was possible at one point when Tank was campaigning at 130, but I don't see it happening now. I don't see him happening now. Colbert is interim. Okay. I don't see it happening now. You know, I mean, but you never know. You never know. I mean, I think if Gary Russell were to happen, and it's possible, I don't think it'll be at 130. I think Gary will have to move up and fight Tank 2 divisions up. All right. You know, but you know, we'll see. We'll see. You know, I'm not really looking for that neither, just like Leo Santa Cruz. I think Tank, all these guys that's willing to move up to fight Tank will get knocked out, including Gary Russell Jr. It stands for him too. Gary Russell Jr. goes up to fight Tank, he is getting knocked out. Just like Leo did. Regardless of what they accomplished before moving up to 130 or 135, they're getting knocked out. Straight like that. You know, Gary Russell is cool, but all that, just fighting a mandatory once a year crap, not really ever being active throughout his career. Tank is levels. I mean, we saw what happened when him and Lomachenko fought, you know, and it was a good fight, but Lomachenko got that clearly. If he fights Tank now, nah, he's getting knocked out straight like that. All right. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was announced tomorrow. It is what it is. Now the legacy thing, the whole talk of legacy at this point. I think what boxing fans need to understand, and I'm talking about us hardcore fans, right? I know we want to see the best fights. I do. All right. I'm never going to act like I approve of what Tank and Floyd and what they've said. I don't approve of it because I'm a fan, you know, and I'm a consumer. I paid for the fight the other night, you know. I wasn't going to pay for it, but like I said before, if I'm doing live commentary, I'm not going to stream it for free. And I'm doing commentary because I'm promoting my channel and you guys are giving me a product and I'm basically promoting my channel and covering the fight. I'm going to pay for the fight. Fair is fair. So I'm going to support it. Could I stream it for free? Absolutely. I have that. I can do it. But I supported the fight because I'm covering the fight. You know, I'm making donations. I'm getting monetized. So that's the right thing to do. But as a boxing fan, I'm very disappointed. But on a business standpoint, I definitely understand what these guys are doing. You know, Floyd, Leonard Ellaby, Tank, they realize that they can make a lot of money with fighting good fighters, but not the most challenging fighters. Low risk, high reward. Tank is at that. Tank's name is big enough to where he doesn't have to fight the very best. He can make his money fighting whoever. It sucks because I like Tank. I think he's very talented. I love to watch him fight. I really wish we got the Lomachenko fight. I really wish we got the Teofimo Lopez and Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, all these fights. But I realized that this guy is not going to be fighting anyone unless it's really financially worth it for him. So they rather just throw the little baby belt in there and say, we're fighting for a third title or fourth title in this division, that division. Dress it up real nice, sprinkle it, put some sprinkles on top. and said that you're getting a title fight. This is a championship fight. That's all they said all night. Going up 3 divisions. It is what it is. You know, this is what we're getting from them. Is it good for the fighter? Absolutely. He's taking less punishment and he's making a lot. He's making millions of dollars. But as a fight fan, I'm disappointed because I want to see him fight the best, because I believe he's one of the best, but he's not fighting any of the best fighters. You know, it is what it is. It is what it is. So it does hurt the legacy. I don't want to talk legacy if you guys are blatantly telling us that you're keeping it in-house and we know who you have in-house. I think there are some fights that could make Tank a top fighter. Mikey Garcia, Regis Prograis, fights like that. Haney, if he leaves the matchroom. But as far as what they currently have in their stable, it's not really much there, you know? And the few that are there are too high of a risk. Because I said low risk, high reward. Regis Prograis is high risk, low reward. It is. All right. So anyway, I think I covered everything when it comes to this topic with Tank Davis. You know, I don't think he's going to be fighting any of the fighters. It doesn't matter if they're undisputed or not. He's not going to fight any of these fighters. You know, and from what I've seen in that arena, they really don't feel like they have to. Sucks. But it was a good fight. It was a good win. I enjoyed the fight. I'm looking forward to see him fight again. I think from beating Barrios and beating what's his face, Leo Santa Cruz, I think it just shows how he should be fighting the very elite. I would love for them to put himself in some kind of danger before the fight where I'm not sure if he's going to win. I think we got a little bit closer to that. I haven't had that feeling since he fought Pedraza. I thought at that point when he fought Pedraza, I thought it was too soon to fight Pedraza. All right? I thought it was too soon. I didn't think he would lose, but I thought it was highly, highly risky. I thought it was 50-50 going into that fight. And what did he do? He destroyed Pedraza. Great performance. But since that fight, I thought the Barrios fight was the closest we got to some sort of danger. Didn't think he would lose, but I thought in that fight that was close because of the size difference. Now that you have beaten the guy at 140, and not that you just knock him out with one punch, but you walk the bigger guy down, right? So being that you, the smaller guy, walk down the bigger guy, it just goes to show how good you are. So now that you beat this guy and size wasn't a factor, we should be getting better fights, quality opponents. We should be. Will we get it? Probably not. So as a boxing fan and a consumer, I'm very disappointed. You guys could take it from there, take it on how you want to see it. You know, I know boxing is a business. I understand that. But I am a fan and I do support the sport. And if you're dissatisfied with Tank, I totally understand you. You know, but if you're a Tank supporter all the way, no matter what, just understand that, yes, he probably does have haters out there, but there are people that are legit not haters. They just think they want to see him fight the best. That's all. All right. Okay, I'm done, man. Manny Pacquiao. Right before I did this video, there's some rumors coming up that Pacquiao is getting sued and the fight might be canceled. I'll look into it. If it's something solid, then I'll be back on. I'll do another video probably later today, you know. But I'm not gonna do a video when I don't know what's going on. All right. Just don't know. I'm just not gonna just go in here and come cut camera on, just talk a bunch of mess about something that might not even be true. All right. So if I find out what's going on, I will definitely drop another video today. I'll jump back on live once we find out what's going on. Hopefully the fight isn't canceled, because I really, really want to see that fight. All right. And I'm looking to do a breakdown soon on that. All right. But we'll see. We'll see. All right. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you, before you on your way out, smash that thumbs up button, smash that like button for me, and subscribe if you're new. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.